Welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. And today I got Will Caetano from Salt Lake City, Utah. He is the founder of Aion Shoes and also a personal trainer. I don't know what else am I missing.
Former pro baseball player, but
Okay.
yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, hey man, well, welcome to the Stretch to Go podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk about shoes and all things health and training.
Cool, man. So let's do this. First of all, how did you come up with the name Aion Shoes?
Man, yeah, so it's got a unique spelling. So it's AION. So my big motivator is like top brands. I like how they do things. I like Nike. I like Adidas. I like all those stylistic shoes that puts, seemingly function and fashion together. I think the issue was, they don't quite do it the same, but I wanted to take a lot of the positives they do, like a short, nice, concise name, something that's really meaningful. And as I was doing research, just looking through Hellenistic and Greek gods, I found Ion, and the meaning was just, as soon as I saw it, I didn't even question it. I was like, yeah, that's got to be it. So it's the infinite God of time. So it's not just time as in a linear project of we start here and we get there, but it's ever continuing loop of we start here and we're going to always come right back to where we start. So it's literally the infinite loop of time. And for a barefoot shoe company, which is what we are, I thought it was so meaningful to return back to what we always were, which is our foot health and our foot function.
Yeah. Why that? I mean, what made you kind of interested in, going into that? What led you to that, I should say?
Yeah. To creating the shoes or the name?
Just like foot health in general, like, because I mean,
So, yeah, man. So here we go. Here's a long story about my background. So I did play basketball at a very high level. I was going to play college basketball, and other plans happened. So junior year, I broke my medial malleolus going up for a layup, got hit on my leg, did like a little flip in the air, landed on it. Don't even really know it. I kind of blacked out, tried to walk, and my ankle was gone. It was like there was nothing there. Couldn't put weight on it. Then I worked my way back. The very next year, no foot problems, no ankle problems. Felt seemingly normal. The other leg, same exact break, medial malleolus on my other side, and both seasons just instantly done. I was in a cast for, I think it was about 3 months, 3 to 4 months, because it took a long time to heal because it was so far down. And it was to the point where the second break was so bad, I couldn't even do calf raises. So my feet and my ankles were so weak that I couldn't even do that. And basketball was my favorite sport, but I was also very good at baseball. And so because I missed 2 full seasons of baseball, I decided to go play college baseball. And that's where I got drafted. Between the breaking the ankle and getting drafted, I had some self-discovery. I tried wearing ankle braces. I tried finding stability, and I didn't even really, there wasn't really foot exercises around that I heard of. This is days before social media, and yeah, I could just feel it. My feet felt so weak, and I used to be able to dunk easily, and I was fast and all these, and it just felt like my power was just gone. And I was getting stronger, so something just wasn't adding up, and that's where I started really thinking about foot health.
Yeah. I can't quite empathize with you as far as breaking it, but I've had my numerous injuries of ankles and knees from playing basketball as well. So I understand, man. I mean, that's super important. Like you're cutting, you're rebounding. I mean, that's everything's at the foot. Without that, like how can you play any type of sports, right? So yeah, I think the realization for me, like going into PT with my athletic trainers, they treat everything else but the foot, of course, taping you in. I think that's kind of what made me think too is like, yeah, I've been taped and, I wore ankle braces playing, but I wonder if that led me to the path where, I continued to get worse with my foot because I wasn't strengthening it, that just masked how weak it was.
Yeah. And that's so real. We're like, oh, we know this is an issue, Okay.
Mhm.
Forget rehabbing it, forget progressive overload with it, forget stretching, even stretching your foot. We're just going to tape it. And that should, solve the issue. And it really just feeds into more issues.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, man, you probably hit it right on the nail as far as like just the fact that, you know, this kind of led you down this path where you're like, okay, I should really think about my foot because yeah, it means a lot. I mean, you think about even, when you get to the point where you're older and you can't even like walk. I mean, and those are in geriatric, like, yeah, one balance. If they can't even balance like on one
Mm-hmm.
foot or even just 2 foot, like that tells you a lot, like how well. And I think that's one thing I had to start training and I had to retrain my brain is like just balance, proprioception of the ground is it's super important too. Whether if it's training, whether if it's just walking around or jumping, I'm doing plyometrics. That's super important to have that. So
I
kind
think
of tell me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the coordination aspect of being able to perform these high level movements barefoot is super underrated. I think people are like, "Oh, it's just about strengthening your feet." I mean, it's about becoming more athletic. It's about um, not having as many injuries at the lower extremities. It's about everything from your big toe all the way up to your glute, and I would even include the lower back in there, being
Mm-hmm.
more healthy than if you just wore over cushiony, over heel elevated shoes with a narrow toe box. And that's not even, you know, there's more things going on. The fake arch support that we're forced into, all these things that are just leading you down the path of a weaker body, but also a weaker foot.
So, in your background, personal training, obviously in the baseball, like how did you get into it with personal training?
Yeah. So with baseball, I dealt with injuries there as well. And it's hard to say that it wasn't affected by my poor foot health, right? My lack of ankle mobility, my ability to transfer force from the ground into my arm, and I would say overly relying on my arm. And with that, I had two bone spur surgeries on my left elbow. I was a left-handed pitcher. Yeah, just rehabbing those, going to physical therapy, meeting amazing doctors and workers and coaches that helped me, prolong my career so that I could pursue my dream. And in doing that, I just loved learning. I loved talking to people about the body of like, oh, wow, the limitations in my shoulder. It was so out, it felt so out there, which is crazy now because it's like the limitations in my shoulder mobility affected my elbow health. And I'm like, that's crazy. And I was like, oh, spraining my wrist. I still have a weak wrist. So maybe I'm overcompensating with my elbow. And it's, oh, my lack of dorsiflexion makes me elevate my heel and not drive completely from my glute to be able to turn and throw over 90 miles an hour. And so that whole process of understanding that, which I had zero understanding, but still was able to be good enough to reach those levels, was a game changer. And if it was only earlier, I would say it could have prolonged my career even more. But that learning and helping other people, whether it was at my junior college that I went to or working with the high school athletes that I work with today, has really kept me rejuvenated and able to just do it every day for the last 10 years.
So, currently, right now, you're working with, like I said, are you working at Alta High School?
So I was working with Alta High School. Currently, my private scene has just been like overly busy. And so I have a pretty big clientele, and that with the shoes, I don't have any time for schools right now.
Yeah, that's cool. The gym that you're out of, is it more of a, box gym or studio or small? It's a smaller gym, right? Not a chain.
It's actually pretty big. So it's 2 stories. It's 2 stories big. It's Big Mountain Barbell. Shout out them and Zach and Lindsay. Great owners. I love training out of there. All of my coaches that I train with out of there. Just such a great environment. But we're definitely a powerlifting gym. Now that said, I'm not a powerlifting coach, but we're a powerlifting gym. So we have specialty equipment that I love to work with.
Uh huh.
But we have all the space. We got turf, we got boxes, we have, equipment like a GHD. We have I was the Jefferson row machine, which is like nowhere ever. So I love training there.
That's cool. And then for you currently, what makes your Aion shoes unique from others in the marketplace?
Yeah, so I think our attention to materials, and I got one right here. So it's just the quality Flyknit, which I've really haven't seen other than I would say comparatively to, Nike's best Flyknit. Because I know, yeah, there you go. Because I know a lot of people claim to have that like soft knit texture, and I got samples and samples and samples of it, and nothing was really that close until I found, this iteration of it. And so just the ventilation system, the comfort that you get with them. And then we also have what we call our patented layering system, which is it's just a foam pad that's removable. So for people that are truly in the barefoot scene and don't want any cushion ever, I used to be there, not
Yeah.
there anymore. You can still get that with this shoe, but I love this foam pad. This is a difference maker because if you truly wear barefoot shoes as you should, which should be 70% or more of the day to get the true benefits of being barefoot, you want this to protect your foot from those hard, rock surfaces, but also cement. It's, I think people, we go into extremes. It's either I want as much cushion as possible or I want zero cushion. And we're trying to bridge the gap to give you an in between so your foot can function optimally throughout the entire day and not just be sore just from walking. I see a bunch of barefoot shoe enthusiasts and influencers now. It's getting so big and it's amazing. I love it. I love their content. I think it's great. But then I see them like stretching their toes on like the sidewalk. They're like, this is how I made it through Disneyland. They're like stretching their toes. It's like, otherwise I wouldn't have made it. It's like, why don't we just have just a little cushion and you don't got to do that? Right. And then stretch them when you get home after the entire day instead of, just forcing your way through it. Cause I was that person. I was like, no, I'm wearing these all day because I know they're better for me. And there's no way I'm putting on Nikes anymore because they don't care about your feet. But it's like, there's got to be another option, and that's what this shoe is. And so it's for the gym, it's casual wear, all that. But ultimately, it's just more comfortable than other shoes. And that's what everyone that's worn them, that's what everybody says.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely feel the pad. I mean, it's flat, definitely has the wide toe. So, I mean, I always tell people, you could tell if it's a wide toe box by taking out the insole, placing it on top. And if it's, of course, going over the edges, then it's not a wide toe box. And so definitely, I think that's a one key aspect.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, kind of, you tell me, what other aspects that you tell clients what makes a barefoot shoe or minimalist shoes a minimalist shoe?
Yeah. Great question. I think that first test is amazing. I think that's the true test. So you can say it doesn't feel that way, and then you take it out, spread your toes, see if it goes over that edge. If it does, wider, right? If it doesn't, then it's perfect. But the other elements would definitely be, the actual shape of the shoe, making sure that matches, making sure it's not just stuffed in there. But the flexibility and the pliability of the shoes is one of the biggest things. So you were talking about proprioception earlier. We cannot get any relation to that, even if it is a wide toe box, if the shoe is too stiff. So all my ultra runners, right? That is not a barefoot shoe. That is a wide toe box shoe. It's way better for your feet. But if you're wearing those day in and day out, we cannot say that you're getting any proprioception other than what you would get with a Nike shoe. So those are the two main. I just said the wide toe box, flexibility. Other than that, man, you could do whatever if it has those two elements, you could do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually introduced to Ultra Shoes when I used to live in Utah because obviously they're based out there. But, they do have the zero drop or they have like different, millimeters, 3 or 5 millimeter drop. But of course, they do have wide toe. But yes, I agree. They are padded so that if you want to transition into barefoot shoes, it's a great introductory along with, with like the Aion. Like most people don't want to transition or have a hard time. So I feel like Ultra Shoes is a good gateway into if you're going that way of, minimalist shoes. And I think that's another thing we should talk about is like, some people might get confused with like barefoot shoes, minimalist shoes. What's the difference? Are they the same? You tell me.
So some companies, talk about them interchangeably, where they say it's a minimalist shoe, it's a barefoot shoe. I would say New Balance is notorious for this. They usually just say minimalist shoe. So some of their minimalist shoes are barefoot shoes, some of their minimalist shoes are not barefoot shoes. I would just say my categorization of that, and probably other barefoot shoe company owners, would just be the thickness. Anything that has, I would say over or 12 millimeter, I would just say is minimalist, and then I would say anything under that would be barefoot, and that's my personal marker. This is a barefoot shoe, so it's under that, and that's with the cushion, that's with the sole, right? With the insole structure, so it's still under that. So yeah, I think it's not too much of an important indicator, other than the zero drop. I think zero drop is definitely zero drop could be minimalist as well, and so that would be in there for that. Barefoot shoe should, and it can be marketed that way, but it should not. It should be a zero drop. No argument there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So beside, I know you're talking about the whole Flyknit, because like, yes, it does have that Flyknit texture up here in the upper, and yeah, it does remind me a whole lot, like you're saying, because they are so breathable. I sometimes have to look at my feet again to see like, am I wearing shoes, because it is dang light,
Yeah.
bro, and like,
Yeah.
it was so comfortable. Like, I remember I was working at the car clinic, and I was just going through the day working with clients, and I totally didn't feel it, because it's such a lightweight barefoot shoe for me, that plus it just gave me that natural splay. So yeah, thank goodness for the insole, man. Like, you put this, so kudos to you.
Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I've had a lot of people say that. They're like, I literally forget. I go home and they're
Uh-huh.
still wearing the shoes, and they're like, I forgot that I was wearing them. And I was like, that to me is the entire goal of barefoot shoes.
Hmm. So tell us, what's some of your favorite aspects of your shoes that you're most proud of, or that took a while to get to the point to where you're like, okay, I think this is a good start.
Yeah. I think you got to start with a good sole. So I think the fact that it is like can be said to be a sock shoe, I think that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But having the right sole where it's light enough and flexible enough so it doesn't feel like it's unbalanced, right? Where the rubber is outweighing the entirety of the shoe and you just kind of have lead bottoms. So that leads us to testing a bunch of different sole materials, weights. The splay was always non-negotiable, so it needed to be a true wide toe box. And for some people, critics online, it's not wide enough, but I think it is perfect for 99% of customers, which I am very proud of. With these guys, the simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice, like, there's nothing about the name anywhere other than the inside of the shoe. I'm very proud of that. I want people to wear them because they love them, not because we're branding it as just ours. I want people to really just see the simplicity of it and be able to rock it with anything. And that leads me to the other thing is they look really good in jeans. They look really good in pants, sweatpants, where in my personal experience, I'm going to bleep out what I'm going to say. So the leading barefoot shoe company, everyone
Yeah.
knows, I've worn them for up until 2 years ago, right? When I started prototyping all these shoes.
Okay.
And they just do not look good in anything other than workout clothes. And I'll stand by that. I will, I think they're great shoes. They're a great company. And they, definitely opened my eyes to what can be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at first it was just toe shoes and all these things. And I think Vivo makes a great product, but I just don't think they look great in pants and jeans. And ours really do.
Yeah.
It's my number one choice when it comes to going out to get some coffee. I'm going to dinner with my girl.
Got you.
Yeah.
It has to be
It's
stylish.
it's hard to say that without looking like a hater, like it's like, yo, wear what you want, do whatever you want. I'm
Uh-huh.
gonna tell you as a dude that, has been stylish and like conscious of that, they don't look good. And that's okay. Because that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people only wear them in the gym and then they're like, let me grab my Nikes. You know?
Yeah.
That
Uh-huh.
that is defeating to me. That's defeating the point of being barefoot and really going with this movement of less is more.
Yeah, truly. Yeah, man. What's your aspects? I asked my last guest as well. Like, what's your take of wearing toe socks or even socks that are flexible along with barefoot shoes? Do you think that's important as well? Because you think about it. Okay, same, cool, man. Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure.
Keep going, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep going
like
though.
I think toe socks. I mean, like you're saying, it's contradictory. Like I say, if you're going to the gym to wear this and then going back to Nike, the conventional shoes, like it's also contradictory if you're wearing, let's say, compression socks or socks that are very tight. Like like it don't matter what kind of brand, but like socks that are restricting your toes so that it's going back to your deformed toes, not that splay that you should have with toe socks or any type of flexible. So, like, do you agree that having toe socks along with barefoot shoes can make that impact? I guess cement what you're doing to help with your foot strength even better rather than just regular socks.
Yeah, 100%. I think toe socks is a necessity. And for a
Mm-hmm.
long time, I didn't wear the toe socks. I think it just takes 20 extra seconds to put them on. But that deterred me for a long time. But as soon as I started wearing them more regularly, I was like convinced, like, wow, I still was getting benefits of being barefoot, but
Uh-huh.
barefoot shoes with a narrow toe box sock is kind of, my toes are now fighting the sock instead of the shoe.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so just giving yourself more space so the foot and toes can splay as it needs to, where just like big shoe companies, big sock companies, they're like, oh, we don't need any toe room, because I don't want them to slide off or whatever their reasoning is. So
Yeah.
I don't agree. Toe socks are the future and toe socks are a necessity, right? It's
Yeah.
like putting mittens on your hands and telling you to go grab something. It's not going to feel as good.
I remember growing up in Japan, what you call it. So there's a lot of people who wear toe socks in Japan, right? And like, I mean, I didn't think about it until my mom told me. I was like, yeah, that toe socks aren't a new thing. Like, I'm like, really? I'm like, yeah, people are wearing that. I'm like, okay, I didn't know, but she had to remind me that these aren't a new thing. It's just like, I think there's a lot of movement coming in of barefoot shoes and of course toe socks coming in. Like people are noticing like, okay, it's something that we should be paying attention and switching into. So cool. What are some of the, I guess, share with us some of the benefits that when you're sharing with clients or people at the gym or even online that you love to share about barefoot shoes. So what are some of the benefits that you love to share with people about like how barefoot shoes can be beneficial for you?
Yeah. I think the first thing that I tell people is you'll get better balance. Your stability will feel better. You'll feel more active with everything in the lower half. So not just the foot, but the actual, your calf, your hamstring, your glutes, everything feels more connected because it is connected. Instead of being connected to the shoe, we're connecting to the ground. And for my training, and I hope most trainers out there, connection to the ground is something we preach on because that's where everything starts. I don't care what sport you are, other than, swimming or something like that, where you're not connecting to the ground. You all start every movement from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So seemingly it's the most important thing is having that grounded connection to the floor so we can produce force off of. So that would be just that usually changes people's mind because especially they'll come in with a shoe like a Nike, like an Adidas, and their heel's up. And I'm saying ground your heel, ground your midfoot, and they're trying, but they got this cushion in the way, so they can't actually feel, that totally.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I tell people, especially my younger athletes, is it's going to make you jump higher. It's going to make your foot stronger. It's going to make your calf stronger. Even if you do the same training, there's no way you can't jump. If your foot is stronger, your calf is stronger, your glutes stronger just from wearing them, you're going to jump higher. Now, you mix that with jump training, and now you got a good recipe for success. Also, the health benefits. So you're going to have a stronger Achilles tendon, right? That's one of the first things to go. The amount of issues, I think it's 1 in 4 adults have issues with their ankle and Achilles. And that is just a non-negotiable for me, right? The Achilles is so important. We don't even know how to properly reattach that for the same level of improvement, right? This is why, RIP Kobe, but Kobe had to hang it up. Klay Thompson, some of the best, and Kevin
Kevin
Durant,
Durant.
some of the best athletes of our time have been completely altered, at the peak of their careers because of this Achilles strain.
Yeah,
So,
that's true though.
yeah.
I
And then
mean,
nonetheless, all the deformities, right? You got, big toe, the bunion on the big toe.
hammer toes.
Yeah. All the toe deformities, the hammer toes, the crunched feet, right? Big toe valgus, which is basically, the bunion. Like you got these overlapping toes. It's like, it doesn't look good. Yeah. But the function's even worse than how it looks. You're basically shutting off your plantar fascia.
Mhm. Yeah, no, those are definitely great, especially those in the athletic population who want to improve their game or improve their training. Definitely, I think I always tell people too is like if you want to lift in barefoot shoes or on just regular, just barefoot itself.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If that never train in running shoes because running shoes are not meant to be for lifting weights or whatsoever. Horrible, just because
Absolutely.
it's like I remember I was seeing Squat University they had a reel and how someone posted like putting your foot in like in a bag of gummy bears. And like that's how running shoes are when you're trying to deadlift or even squat.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you don't have that. You don't have the balance. And they're not meant for that. So yeah, it's just always funny when I see people trying to lift weights with running shoes. And I'm like, no, that's not what it's meant for. Switch it up. Yeah. So yeah. So for you, how have you grown your business from inception to the current state that it is today?
Yeah. So a lot of it would be on the developmental side, just because we've only been live for about 3 months. And I would say I am pleased with the initial numbers. I think just getting more people aware and involved, because I think that's the biggest thing is people just don't know we exist, which is, the start of every company. But yeah, a lot of it is just making sure I'm always remaining curious and testing products and taking the ideas and investing it back into the company so we don't get, stale. I think a lot of companies, especially shoe companies, get stale. They get complacent. That R&D factor is always going to be there, and that's something I'm really proud of. I also like the community that we're building. I like that in Salt Lake, it does feel like a lot of people at my gym are repping them more. And we sponsored a team. So we got the Las Vegas Vipers. I love working with them, love working with their athletes. And we got more content with them coming up, which is nice. And just seeing the highest level athletes of Grid League be able to, compete in our shoes, train in our shoes, get ready for events and things like that. I'm really happy about that because that shows the versatility of the shoe.
Yeah. How'd that come about? How did you get in contact or start to sponsor
And
them?
so this dude that goes to my gym, Eddie, is a super cool guy. He's on the team, and we were talking about just doing a collab. And he's like, "Man, I should introduce you to the owner of the Vipers. His name's Paul." And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so he started out a text thread, and from the get go, like Paul was just such a good dude, and he understood where I was at as far as like it's just me with Aion Shoes, and he's like, I see the potential in it. I think it can truly grow. I want to do something that is not only going to help you, but I think our athletes are really going to like the product that you have. And sure enough, we sent them the product, they're tested out, and they're wearing them. They're wearing them every day, whether for their training or casual. They love wearing them, and that's just flourishing and turning into a really good relationship.
That's dope, man. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gridley's a new thing, right? Happening with CrossFit
Yeah.
popping up.
I honestly didn't even really know about it. Like I'd heard about it, but I hadn't seen any videos or nothing. And I see these athletes and I'm like, I'm super impressed because it's like the way I explain it to people when people ask me, it's like it's CrossFit, but more gymnastics is how I describe it. It's just way more handstands, way more muscle ups, all that type of stuff. Yeah, that's a long way away. I'm definitely have a ton of short-term goals, but I would say 5 to 10 years. I want to be in the top runnings when it comes to barefoot shoes, period. And I want to be in the top running when we talk about, fashionable street shoes. I love the idea of mixing athletics with streetwear. I think it goes really well. So I think being a prevalent name in both of those industries is my goal.
And then how do you see barefoot shoes evolving in the future?
Yeah. I think the entire industry is going to get a facelift. I
What is
think
that?
there's going to be more
Uh-huh.
more options. There's going to be
Uh-huh.
more competitors coming up, and I think they're listening better than current barefoot shoe companies because they're not the only ones anymore. They're we got new ideas, we got new colors, that we're working on constantly, and I still see the tired old same stuff, same models from these companies I'm not even going to say, and I think people are slowly getting sick of it. I think they're still supporting it. It was it's hard when someone's first, it's hard to get to them, but I think over time they're going to see all the options that are coming and they're just going to leave.
Mm.
And unless these shoe companies really adapt, I think barefoot shoes are just going to become better and better looking, and they're going to be in every space. Like we just had the first barefoot basketball shoe, which I'm super excited to try out. I think it's where all shoes should be headed, and we'll see when the big dogs get in there. Like your Nike, like your Adidas. We'll see. I don't know if they're listening. But
Then last question for you. What are some ways that you plan to create more awareness and exposure for Aion Shoes?
this is a fantastic question. So this is something in the last couple of weeks I've been thinking about. I definitely want to get a kid's shoe line going. I think bringing it to the kids, a lot of those deformities, in the foot starts when we're, really spongy and youthful, and we're crammed into these shoes, and we know as much as as much, if not less than our parents. So I think giving those kids the option and not scaring them, but letting them know, like, hey, this is really good for you. This is good for your feet. And they'll be like, oh, I love blue. And then they get blue. Or like, I love pink. And they get pink. And so it's like giving kids the option, to pick out their own shoes and really being involved in the community. And I definitely plan on donating a lot of shoes, being able to work with these kids and get them in the proper footwear so they don't grow up and have to break both their ankles to find out, that, hey, my feet need to be stronger.
Yeah, no, I think that'll be awesome because it's definitely hard to find kids' shoes that are barefoot shoes,
Yeah.
And like also my previous guest, we were talking about, same thing about how it all starts when you're younger, especially with their feet growing. And if you put them into these conventional shoes where they're, squished, like it's gonna pay a toll for them down the line. So what better way? And I think there needs to be more in the US, especially. I know there's a lot more in Europe and other places, but in the US, there's just isn't many options for kids to have barefoot shoes. So that'll be dope.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Cool, man. But hey, well, appreciate you hopping onto the podcast. Love to see how people can follow along, learn more about what you're doing in business, and of course, purchasing your shoes. So go ahead, share how people can contact and follow along.
Yeah. So we're Aion Shoes. That's AION Shoes. So it's ionshoes.com, Aion Shoes on Instagram and Facebook. You find us there. We'll sneak peek. We got a bunch of stuff coming. We have our lace shoes coming very soon. So that's something we've been working on for a long, long time, the longest. But yeah, good colors, good community, good foot health. That's what the plan is.
Cool, man. Yeah, give me a heads
Thank
up,
you for
man.
having me. This
Yeah,
was awesome.
yeah, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for hopping on. And of course, good conversation. For those of you who are following, please follow, subscribe, Stretch to Go podcast. We release new episodes every Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But yeah, man, Will, thanks for so much. And best of luck, brother.
Thanks for having me in. I'll talk to you later.
Yes. See ya.